Howdy gamers, let's talk about the runes for Aurelion Soul. He's kind of one of the more niche mid laners, functioning as like the AP variant of like Kiana, where they primarily just want to push out mid lane and then roam to the side lane. But Aurelion Soul is, at his core, he's like a control mage, and then has the option it has like the solo queue advantage to roam to side lanes. But he can still just function as a control mage, and a pretty unique one is that like basically negates diving from the enemy team with his ult, and then counters that completely with his ult into stun. So pretty unique champion. Starting off with the Keystone is going to be Phase Rush. Phase Rush, whenever you hit the enemy champion with 3 attacks or separate abilities, within 3 seconds you gain bonus movement speed, which is based on your level, and 75% slow resist. With Aurelion Soul, the way you have to maneuver around things is a bit unique, and it can lead you to either being caught out by the enemy or wanting more movement speed to run them down. So Phase Rush is like an offensive and a defensive tool. Whenever you're hitting your W on the enemy, if you just chain 3 of those together, or even an auto attack with it, then you're going to get the extra movement speed to chase them down and then continue to land your W on them. Where most champions can just simply like walk out of your W or even walk into the range, dodging the stars and then therefore dodging the damage. And then if the enemy ends up getting onto you, you can still run away with Phase Rush, as you just need 3 instances of damage on them to proc it, and then you're going to get the extra movement speed to run away, and then you're also going to get the slow resist to make sure that the enemies don't stick onto you. So it's useful, again, offensively and defensively, and Aurelion Soul really doesn't need the damage from runes such as like Conquer and Electrocute to kill a target or to be useful. Secondary runes, it's going to be Nimbus Cloak. Mana Flow Ban isn't bad, but you're going to be building mana items pretty early, and you're also going to have mana regen from Corrupting Pot pretty early. And also, you have the options to push out a lane and then roam and then recall pretty early in the game, as Aurelion Soul is one of the best champions at pushing out the mid lane wave as early as possible. So whenever you're doing that and then roaming and recalling, you don't really have to worry about your mana in lane, as you're going to be recalling and regenerating it that way. Um, where most control mages just simply sit in mid lane, and then the more mana they have, the more abilities they can land and whatnot. Aurelion Soul doesn't really function like that. He basically just pushes out the wave and then gets control in another sense. So with Nimbus Cloak, after you cast a summoner spell, you gain bonus movement speed that increases. You gain bonus movement speed increase that lasts for 2.5 seconds and allows you to move through units. The movement speed increase is based on the summer spell cooldown. That's what I was trying to get at. So the longer the cooldown, basically, like if your flash or teleporting, it's going to be the longest, but usually just with your flash, it's going to give you the most movement speed. This in combination with particularly cleanse is the most useful, as if you cleanse the enemy's stun and then you have the extra movement speed to either again move into them or move away from them, you just have the options to do either or, which is basically what a control mage wants. They want the ability to pursue if they're winning and then run away if they're losing. And Nimbus Cloak helps you do that if you're running cleanse. If you're running ignite, it helps you run down the target. If you're running heal, it doesn't give you that much value. But primarily you're just running cleanse or ignite depending on like your mid lane matchup, or even exhaust or barrier. So in every single case of the summer spell you're running, though, it functions basically like Phase Rush, though, giving you the offensive and defensive utility. The third rune is going to be Absolute Focus. While you're above 70% health, you gain bonus AP, and then this is also based on your level. So this is going to give you the AP around like the mid game, where you're sitting on one item and then probably Sorkpin boots, and then you're basically always going to be at 70% health, and then it helps you push out the wave by having the extra AP to damage the wave the correct amount, and then it's also going to just give you more damage on every single instance of your damage, so your Q, your stars, your passive, your ult, etc. And then fourth rune is going to be Water Walking. You gain 25% movement speed and 30 ability power while you're in the river, and this like correlates with how Aurelion Soul wants to function. Push out the mid wave and then roam to a side lane. And then if you have more movement speed in the river, you're just going to be able to get to either top lane or bot lane faster. And even if you're like flying over the jungle, you're still going to be moving through the river at some point, and then that's going to help you either get to the side lane faster or maneuver while you're fighting for objectives. And then the extra AP is kind of just like icing on the cake. If you're fighting for dragon and then the enemy like commits onto your team and you just get a full rotation off, you're just going to have 30 more damage on every instance of damage. So just more damage, generally better. Like with, it's kind of hard to explain. Like with Aurelion Soul, things just build up on what they already do. So utility, and then damage and utility with Water Walking and Absolute Focus. Secondary rune's going to be Inspiration with Minion Dematerializer and Time Warp Tonic. With Minion Dematerializer, again, you're usually just fighting for the wave, and even in matchups that are not favorable for Aurelion Soul, if he can push out the wave and then move to the side lane, then the enemy can't do anything against it because they have to deal with the minion wave coming into them. So if you're able to dematerialize a cannon minion, and then you can also use it on the melee minions twice to just again push out the wave faster without the enemy being able to reciprocate the damage onto the minion wave, and then you can just move out of lane and then they can't counter that. So Minion Dematerializer gives you more damage onto melee minions if you choose to use it on that, or it gives you unique timings to move out of your lane in which you can absorb the cannon minion and the enemy just can't if they don't have Dematerializer as well. So even losing matchups, you can get timings to move out of your lane and then create something from that because you have dematerialized the cannon minion on a particular wave. Time Warp Tonic, your potions and biscuits grant 50% of its health and mana regeneration immediately and puts the consumable on a short cooldown. So this in combination with your Corrupting Pot is just going to give you better trading tools in lane, as usually you're trading your health to push out the minion wave. And then the extra movement speed also, again, just helps you either moving out of lane, positioning in lane, helps you whenever you're fighting to dodge skill shots and whatnot. Like the extra movement speed just goes it goes very, very far on Aurelion Soul. And a little tip, whenever you're recalling, if you just immediately use the Corrupting Pot, it's going to give you the proc to regen your HP just a little faster. Adaptive runes is going to be adaptive force, and then depending on your matchup, you want to run armor or magic resist. So if you're against Talon, Zed, etc., you would run armor in the mid lane, and then if you're against Syndra, Orianna, any magic damage champion, obviously you'd run magic resist. So most commonly, it's probably going to be magic resist, as those would be the champions you'd be picking Aurelion Soul into, because he has the advantage of, again, pushing out the minion wave, moving to the side lane. It doesn't go very deep with Aurelion Soul, but that's that. So these are the runes I'd recommend for Aurelion Soul. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I answer literally all of them, and if this video helped you, leaving a like on the video helps me. I'll be streaming once Season 10 starts in 4 days. We hunt on twitch.tv/Sorry Nelson. Links in the description. Bye-bye. See ya. Aurelion Soul, man, it's like bad Kiana, kind of, but that control factor is pretty good. It's pretty good. You're like Orianna plus Kiana. Weird.